Welcome to the LHK conversation. I'm Taika and my co-host Jamal, and I have Fraser's on and Latanya's on tonight. Welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys from coming on. Hello to everybody on Facebook that's watching or about to join. We appreciate you guys coming on. So tonight's conversation is relationship, marriage, and money. So I know that some of the subjects definitely Jamal and I have discussed. Fraser, we know you're the money guy, the financial specialist. So, Jamal, you want to get started with the topics? You want to start off? Because this is a heavy one, I think.
Which topic you want to start off with? We just gonna fly up the head, or we gonna go off of?
We could just go with what we have. Our talking points. We could talk about the relationships, marriage, and money, how they connect to each other, what's important about them. Fraser, you definitely can chime in on the money aspect and tell the people what we need to do to get on board.
Right. So what is cultural? I'm sorry. Cultural perspectives on money and relationships, whether that be with family members, husband and wife, brothers, sisters, so on and so on. So, as you know, I feel like Black America. I feel like out of the diaspora, we are financially ahead of most people that look like us in the diaspora. This is statistics that's showing up that, we have most of the wealth in America collectively. I'm not talking about individually. We make more money than a lot of people on the continent, a lot of people in the Caribbean. But it shows that only 15% of us, 20% of us only own one stock or own a stock. You understand what I'm saying? So, but the wealth gap is here, and white people's wealth and Asian and so on is up there. So the gap is widening even more.
Hey.
What's going on today is that we don't own a lot of businesses. A lot of us, don't know where to stash our money if we have extra money. That's another talking point. And I feel like we don't, a lot of us really don't work well together. That's another talking point too. A lot of us just, we don't know how to come together and work. Again, that's, in my opinion, that's done systematically. If you look back at the history, the psychological damage as the American African has faced up until now, you know what I'm saying? People think that, 60, 70 years ago is a long time. It's really not. You understand what I'm saying? Because you still had to battle crack epidemic. You had to battle other epidemics past that. You know what I'm saying? Police brutality, redlining, and so on and so on, and the Fair Housing Act. And on top of that, the banking systems not getting the big business loans to start these big businesses. You understand what I'm saying? Because the number three wealth drivers in America are owning your own business, real estate, and investing in the stock market.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And if we're not participating in any of those, we're in trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. One of the articles that we were talking about was the lack of marriage holding the Black American wealth and how HBCUs can help out. Like, there's an article that you can read online and it breaks down everything from the relation aspect, dating someone outside of your means, breaking it down to even to dates, like what you should do on a date and not set expectations that your mate or potential mate is going to get used to. So when you don't have those funds, it looks bad. Like you go on with the expectations of, let's get to know each other. Let's look at each other. Once we get deeper, then we'll talk about the financial aspects of the relationship, and everyone should have that conversation when they get into a relationship with somebody, especially a serious relationship, and that possibly that could lead to marriage. Because if you're dating someone that is not on your level or even slightly above your level, you're setting yourself up for financial suicide on that particular aspect. There's just so many different talking points that we can actually talk about. They say set expectations and a budget. When you're dating someone, you set the expectation. You set they don't take somebody out of the don't take someone out of the country on the very first date. You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't
And expect.
and even if even if you're in a relationship with someone and you start dating in 3 months, do not take them out of the country, because now the expectation is, oh, this man or this woman has this money and we're going out of the country, and then they're financially struggling, but they're not letting you know. So now you're in a relationship with them and you're thinking, oh, we're going to go on vacation next week. And they're
Right.
filing for bankruptcy.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yep. 100% correct. You can't,
Yep.
you never, ain't no lie there.
People doing it for the gram.
Right. Doing it for the gram.
Right. That's all it is. Again, I think, it's just showboating and a little bit, saying, oh, you know what I'm saying? And not realizing that, you really don't got it. You understand what I'm saying? And again, it is showing off, and who are you showing off for? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People that don't like you.
Right. And it says also in the article, it says a study by the Institute for Family Studies and Founded Household. It tells you exactly the Black married couple, the median net worth is $131,000 a year, and that was in 2019. And this is compared to only $29,000 for a Black single individual family. So you got the Black family, and then you got the Black single family, and it's telling you how to build wealth. It's just so much in this article. And then it says also to leave materialism for someone else. Like you said, for the gram, showing off for the gram. You're understanding that now I'm broke. You get it? So I definitely want to continue, because I started reading this article and it's very interesting. And it does say that the Black man is the most man that is on unemployed. The Black man. The highest rate of unemployment is the Black man, which is very interesting to me. It's just a very good article to definitely read. And I will put it, the title of the article is, I'm sorry, I just had it right here. It says the lack of marriage is holding the Black African American wealth, on how HBCUs can help. So if you want to tag something, it's Black Love also as well. So it's about 18 pages, and it tells you, it breaks it down. It's ways that also HBCUs can help promote Black marriage. They have educational programs, mentorships, counseling, community engagement. They have financial things HBCU men can do before getting into a serious relationship. So it's just so many things in this article that you can take away, especially for couples, single people as well. It asks questions. It gives you answers to the questions. It's just very informative. I really, I started reading it myself. And it's just, when you get into a relationship or you moving towards marriage, money is a big topic. Tanya, you have a question? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, she had a question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to say off video.
Okay.
I just came home last night from traveling.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not as cute as I usually am. So I think this is a very good and yet a very difficult discussion to have, because with respect to all of those statistics, and I'm so glad that they talked about the benefit of the historically Black colleges and universities and how they can contribute to the betterment of the statistics. However, the reality is that more Black women are being educated than Black men. So that creates another conundrum of how do we... So the reality is that most Black women are going to marry men who are not as educated as they are. So how does that fit in with the expectation that the man is the head of the household and he's the breadwinner and he's the provider?
Right.
And what does that look like for a man's ego and his pride and all of those other things? I absolutely believe as a Black woman that I can be the breadwinner and still allow, if that's the right term, my husband or husband to be the head of the household. I don't think he needs to make more money than me or pay all the bills in order to be the head. The head means that I can trust him to lead us where we need to go. It doesn't necessarily mean that he has to pay for us to get there. So I think that's a challenge that we have to deal with as Black people.
Right.
Right. It also says, thank you, Tanya. It also says in this article, it also points out for a man, it gives 6 talking points. Like, to be honest when you're dating somebody, be honest. And it says it 3 times: be honest, be honest. It says set expectations and a budget, be creative, don't confuse income with wealth, and leave the materialism for someone else. And it says have an emergency fund. And the title is have an emergency fund. No, seriously, that's what it says. So it's like they have different things, different programs, and they also have in the article, they have statistics, they have the census, they break down the Census Bureau for married couples, single household. It just tells, it's so informative. It is very informative. And I just think that as a community, we don't always have to be behind the 8 ball.
Right.
You know, as a community, we should be educating each other on programs, on books, on if you read a book that you know that's gonna intrigue somebody or pique someone's interest, tell them about the book so that they can get the book and they can read it. There's a financial literacy book, an empowerment book called the Total Money Makeover by David Ramsey. There's another one, Get Good with Money by Tiffany Alchey. You know, there's books and stuff out here that we can read. And as a couple, we don't have to go to the movies. We can sit down and read the book together and write down a plan together.
Right.
You know, put our thoughts together, write it down, come up with the goal, come up with the plan as a couple. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's like, that to me is couple goals. Because now we know we put our money together, or we put what we have and we try to work together as a couple instead of doing things separately. Now, you can have your money on the side for yourself for emergency funds, but if you're really going to be serious and committed to a marriage or committed to a serious relationship, not a 3-month relationship, I'm talking about something serious, then you need to sit down and have these conversations. It's very important because you never know what somebody else is going through, financial struggles there. Like, it could be a man that has child support that you're not telling your woman about, and then you get married and you guys do your taxes, and it's like, what happened to my taxes? You know, we were supposed to get something back, and you find out this man has $50 million in back child support. Because don't think they won't come after your income taxes as the wife. They will.
If
or
you're
the
married.
husband. If you're on back child support, they will come and take that money. So having those conversations are very important. You know, Fraser, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. It's very important to sit down as a couple and plan things out. And I feel if you don't plan, you plan to fail. That's a very interesting thing,
Absolutely.
because a lot of people,
Well
they don't
said.
plan and they go into a relationship and they don't sit and talk things out, and they wonder why things are not. It's like you're pulling 2 rubber bands at both sides, and it's not aligning. And the relationship is not aligning, and everything's not aligning. So if you keep pulling each other apart and not working together, how do you expect to last long term? How do you expect to come together and, like to say, build that wealth as a family, or build that wealth,
Mhm.
going forward for your children and leaving an inheritance or stuff like that? If you're not working together, it's basically you're playing around.
Correct.
Right. Absolutely. Monica, you wanted to say something?
Yes, what I was going back to when you were talking about having discussions and being honest and things like that. I think just go back to the what was it, Steve Harvey and the 90-day rule or whatever. You may not need the 90-day rule to be intimate, but I think within 90 days, maybe you could find yourself more comfortable with the person to be able to have those honest conversations because my my ex, we were never married, but he got married, and
Mhm.
I don't think he ever told his spouse about the arrears that he was in.
Right.
So, and he was just a deadbeat to keep it real, but he finagled her into claiming him, not even them filing together. But long story long, when they did their for 3 years, I got her income tax because he was
Mm.
so far in arrears.
Wow.
And had he never, and that was one of the things that led up to them ending up getting divorced because she was like, I can't, I'm working all this and my money is going to her. And, and it was going to, because that's what was due to the child. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if you're not honest about, like you said, child support, about your debt, about bankruptcies, about anything, if you're not honest leading into a relationship, your relationship is not built on a solid foundation anyway. So it's just literally built on sand.
Right.
So,
Right.
so I think going back to what Tanya said, you don't, and then just thinking about their relationship, my ex, I believe if he, because at the end of the day, the chick loved him, she married him. But I think if he might have been more honest with her, where this is, I owe this much, my job history is kind of, shady or whatever. If you still want to, jump this broom, we can jump this broom, but I just want to let you know that some of the financial responsibility is going to have to fall on you. I think if those conversations are had, relationships may last, or heck, they may even lead to marriages, because some people because I'm reading a book now, and some people get really nervous when you come in, when they have no kids and you come in and you have kids, because the first thing you're
Right.
thinking is, baby, or daddy mama, daddy drama or anything, or how much money are you going to be shelling out over there, so is that going to impact how we move and groove. So if those conversations are had, you already know. The
That's a
first
good thing.
date, the third date, 90 days in, all right, so you're paying child support, so that means we can't go to Peter Luger's. All right, let's go to Olive Garden then. I'm fine with that. Or let me pay for Peter Luger's, because you got to pay child support. But if those
Right.
conversations are had, you won't feel like Tanya said, you won't feel as the man, well, she's doing, no, it's not that she's doing everything. You're trying to build a partnership. And in a partnership, we work together.
Right.
Yes, you can, when we're married, you can leave the house in all sorts of other things. But if I have the money, I'm fine with shelling out my money, because that's what I have. But you, as the man, can bring other things, and those again are conversations that need to be had.
Absolutely. Thank you. Tanya, you had your hand.
Yeah, I think it's so tough. Um, like just thinking about a relationship that I was in, and there were lots of kids, lots of baby mamas, lots of child support, lots of arrears. And that just wasn't my problem. Like I wasn't married, clearly, but it wasn't my problem. So 3 months in, 2 years in, 5 years in, whatever, it was never a discussion that I would have had. I'm guessing if we would have talked marriage, maybe then, but like I don't know. When is, like, Monica's talking about 90 days. When is, so what triggered in my head is, when is the right time to have that conversation?
I was
Because
just about to say
for
that.
me, it's not my problem. That's your problem. I don't have nothing to do with that. I'm not paying your child support. It has nothing to do with me. If we were married or even talking about marriage, I think it would have been something different. But I mean, yeah. Mm-mm. So
But I
at
think
what point is the question? At what point do you have that conversation?
Right. But I think that and Lisa, I'm gonna let you go because I see your hand. But thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Monica. You know what, I think that it becomes a discussion when you want to do something. You get what I'm saying? You want to go out and do something and you tell your mate, let's go on vacation. And now you guys can't go on vacation because he or she doesn't have it. Or, in my case, it would be a man, you would say he doesn't have it, and now comes to the question of why don't you have it? Like now we're trying to discuss what happened. So now you owe all this money in child support. We're not on the same level now.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, like Monica said, that discussion, I don't think necessarily believe it has to happen in 90 days, but I think it does have to happen, especially if you're going to plan a trip together and you're going to go out together and you're planning on, we're going to go to Jamaica, and I'm like, all right, you got your passport? No, I don't have my um passport. And now you're like, well, okay, well, let's get your now you get your passport, and now you don't have money for vacation. Now I'm asking you why you don't have money for vacation, and you're beating around the bush, and then finally I get it out of you, and you're like, I owe child support. Like, before we do anything collectively or make a big purchase or go on a big vacation, that conversation I think needs to happen. If we decide we're going to do something major and big, I think that's when the conversation should start happening. Or when we talk about our goals, that conversation can happen. Lisa, what you going to say?
I feel like you will never really know the truth about a man's finances until you're actually sharing a household with him. I mean, full time, not just you sleeping at his house and him sleeping at your house. When you have to share bills together, then you're going to know who he is financially. Because when a man is
Right.
dating you, he wants to put his best foot forward. When I was dating my husband, he was paying for everything. I didn't know he had any financial problems, but he was like sacrificing doing what he was supposed to do to be able, when we were out at dinner, movies, or whatever, to always be the one saying, here, I got it, I got it, I got it. But then when we finally, matter of fact, even when we were engaged, he was like, it'll be easier instead of running two households. It'll be one household. I can help you and you can help me. Man, we got married. That guy was behind in a lot of his bills. Not only was he behind in a lot of his bills, him and his ex-wife owed the IRS money. None of that was brought up when we were dating, talking about, oh, I can help you and you can help me. And I understand people saying, well, his tax bill is his problem and her problem, and it really shouldn't have anything to do with me. But I was trying to have a life with him. I wanted to be able to buy houses and cars or whatever else we needed to do, however we needed to move. So they were doing like playing chicken. She wasn't filing taxes and he wasn't filing taxes. I was like, look, sir, if you're going to be married to me, you're going to have to file some taxes. You're going to have to catch up. And they just kept taking his tax return and taking his tax return until he paid it off. She never participated in it. But if we were going to have a life together, how are you going to owe the government that kind of money?
Right.
And that
Right.
was never something he said to me. That was never anything that I would have known. Because from seeing him, he always dressed nice. He had a car. He owned a place that he lived at. He was always treating me to anything. I never wanted for anything when I was with him. But he wasn't paying his bills on time.
Right.
Right.
So like that, we all have whatever we have in our life. I just feel like that discussion, I think that discussion should actually be happening before we move in together. If we're going to move in together and we say, we're going to move in together, I think that discussion should happen before that. Like, let's sit down, like, hey, he's talking about let's move together. All right, so let's have the discussion. What are your finances looking like? Let me tell you what my finances. Let me tell you what I'm struggling on. Because once you be transparent with your partner, if you guys are not on the same level and you guys still want to work it out, you can help each other out. You can work together. You understand? A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to tell the lie after. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think would be something how do you open up that conversation? How do you sit down and say, I want to talk about this? What do you say to your mate? Like, how are we going to talk about this? Like, Are we going to say, let's come up with a financial plan, or what's your finances like? Do you come out and say, hey, what's your credit score? Do you say that?
Yes.
Or what do you say?
Yes, you say that. And then let's make a budget. If we're going to live together, let's create a budget. These are the bills. What's your contribution? What's my contribution? Are we creating a savings? So the vacations that you talked about, so we can go on vacation, so we can do things. Yeah, that's it. But always remember that people who have a lot of disposable income can still cover things.
Right.
And you may never know what the reality is, even if they live in the same house with you.
Okay. Lisa, you had a question?
No, I was just going to say that, when you say when we're going to have this conversation, I feel like when you're dating, finances is just one of many things that may be like swept underneath the rug. People who have an 800 credit score, 750, they're not going to lie to you. They're going to be like, I have a good credit score. I've been here, and here. I pay my car note on time. It's those people whose credit scores is down in the 5s and the 4s that's going to hustle you. No man is going to be like, hey, my credit score is 350. He's going to hope that he's going to be able to raise it up or do something about it before you can catch on to how bad it really is. Because how can he ask you to marry him and he can't even get a cell phone in his name? So he's not going to tell you that, the average guy who's doing bad.
So what strategies for investing in building wealth together, you guys? Like what would you do to try to build wealth together?
Is Frazier? Where'd Frazier go?
As a hello, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, Frazier, this is your forte. We're gonna
Yep.
need you. This is your expertise.
Is it as a relationship when you getting married or as a dating? Which one are you doing?
Well, you can do both if you don't mind.
Well, dating, you really should, talk about things that you want to invest in and start small.
Correct.
And just, each week something that you like. If you have a habit or whatever, you like candy, you like to buy nice things, a bag or something like that. Instead of doing it on a normal basis, maybe take $20, or I call it the R&D fund for me. It's research and development, because you always want to research and develop a plan to
Allocate money
invest.
elsewhere.
Right. So what I do, I started off at $20 a week, because I knew it wouldn't hurt my pockets. And then I just put it into a stock, and I would put it into a stock or something that I felt that I brought, or people buy, and do stuff like that. And you move the nail, just a little bit at a time each week. And then if you can give a little more, or if you got a little extra on a income tax check, then you might want to put a little more into it. But investing little by little like that, you'd be surprised after a year doing that. You look up and you be like, wow, I did all of that. You passed the time and you did all that small investing, and you got a nice little portfolio. And
Right.
and then
Like
I once
diverse.
you yeah, and then once you get into like stuff like now, this conversation is very, very important now, because I don't know if you guys know, but the Donald Trump signed into effect about the cryptos, and everybody's jumping on the cryptos, because I feel like after September, a lot of crypto stocks are going to be taken off. So
Right.
this is the time to really start getting into the cryptos while they're at a low. It's almost like they took it back when Bitcoin was like, let's say, $2 and $3. This
Mhm.
is that time again. So there's a
So
lot of little small stocks out there that you can grab and get involved in, and just stack up your little funds on that. And then when things start moving up, it's almost like you're at the beginning age of Bitcoin, or at the beginning stage of Facebook. So
Or
these,
XRP or the other one.
yeah, that's what I've been telling about. XRP,
so
huh?
my question, not to interrupt you, but to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
For the slow people in the back like myself when it comes to stuff like this,
Yeah.
my question is, how do I get started? What do I do? Because that's important. Like, how do I invest? Because I do hear people say that. And now what if I want to invest? So what do I start out with, Fraser?
You
You're
have
an
a
First, you
broker.
got to
attorney.
get a brokerage account, and I suggest you get what's called like a cold wallet, and it's basically like I use I've got the one I have a couple of apps, but I started off myself. I started off in Robinhood. Then I started moving my things from Robinhood because of all the situations. If you look at the history of Robinhood, so you want to move it to a brokerage account, like maybe you can do a Charles Schwab or Fidelity, and
Fidelity.
just get a brokerage account, and you can invest through your brokerage account in these stocks.
So what does that cost me? What do I start off with?
To open an account.
Before.
Someone like me, because I'm pretty sure other people watching who are complete. I need the book dummies for investment. So
To open
So
the
it's a
account, it
study.
really costs just putting some money. It's just like a bank account. You open a
okay,
brokerage account, go to Charles Schwab, you go to, they got Fidelity and then you at. You can just
Mhm.
go to there and say you want to open up a brokerage account and put money in. And then you, from that, you putting money in, you can they probably have a online app or whatever, but you can invest your money into whatever investments you want to do on the market.
Right.
So so Dr. Cass said, why not do a class to inform? Do you have classes that you can offer people, Fraser?
No, I have classes. I can put together something where it can do you tell you maybe put together like maybe I could put together because I've done this before. I've done like a basically a 2 week daily, give you steps step by step to an email, and you can check the email and it'll tell you, step one, do this. Step two, do that. This is day three. You should have done day one and two.
Right.
You know,
I think you should do that, and
yeah.
have people, because I'm interested. You let me know how
Yeah,
much it is. You
yeah.
understand? What I'll go to a
No,
bank, and
well,
then once I rob the bank, I'll pay you.
it would be free as a email, but at the end of the thing, you would want probably a little ebook showing you basically what you went through in the email.
Right.
It'll be in the ebook, so you can download the ebook, and that would probably be like $5 or something like that. It's just something small,
Okay.
just to basically get things going. But I could put together something like that because it's not that hard. You know,
Okay.
I learned basically all these things through trial and error. So you speaking to somebody that went through, the staying on webinars and dealing with a mentor and somebody that does this thing as a everyday thing, and now they're no longer in this United States. They moved out, and he's very wealthy, and he's abroad. So he actually learned, believe it or not, not to cut it because light, but he learned from a Jewish guy. He learned as an intern studying from him just to learn what he knew as far as investing in stock. And
Okay.
then the guy told him, "So you're learning from me. Now you got to pay me to teach you." But little did this guy know that the money that he was taking for him to learn, he was paying the guy to learn. The guy was investing his money for him.
Wow.
So after he finished teaching him and said, "Now you go open up your own account. Here's your account." All the money that he was taking, that he thought he was paying this guy to learn, he didn't understand why the guy was teaching him for free, and now the guy was teaching him how to learn. I mean, I'm teaching him how to invest. All that money that he invested learning, the guy put it into a stock and was investing his money. So that $5,000 that he thought he was throwing away, learning how to invest, and he really didn't have much of nothing. That got
Mhm.
$5,000. That guy invested that money, and that money by the time he gave it back to him was $10,000.
Mm.
So
Wow.
he taught him and took his money and flipped it for him and gave it back to him. Now he said that's the thing that since the '80s he's been making money, so it's stuck with him.
I think it's a little harder now for this generation to save money in that way because I feel like when I first started working, when I used to work for the Bank of New York, they used to have profit sharing and you used to be able to get like Bank of New York stocks. That was just a part of, your employment. Then when I was working for Edwin Gould Academy, you could put money aside and they would match you. You're not
Hmm.
getting a job like that anymore. I
No,
mean,
no more
I've been with,
matches.
Wow.
yeah, now, I've been in this working with the state for 20 years. So when I first started working with the state, they have a deferred comp. And this older lady that I was working with was training me. She was like, come on, we're going to the deferred comp meeting. I just started. I didn't know nothing about deferred comp. She was like, I don't care how broke you think you are. You could afford deferred comp. It's going to come out of your check directly. You're not even going to miss it. She was like, every time we get a retro check because of contracts or whatever, put all that into your deferred comp. So I was stacking away money, but then I didn't really understand. And I was like a little bit nervous about like sometimes some things would happen in the news and your money would drop. So I had most of my money in like the stable. Then I started getting closer with the officers, and the guys was like, "Are you crazy? You're leaving money on the table." They was like, "Go into Fidelity K." So I tried it a little. I put like a nice amount of money in there. When I started seeing what Fidelity K was doing compared to my stable, I was like, "Oh, let me throw some more money in Fidelity K." But if
Right.
you have a job that allows you to put money aside, don't feel like, oh, I don't have it. I want to be able to go on Amazon. I want to shop. I want to go on vacation. Nah, put away something. And every time you get a raise, act like you didn't get one. Let that money ride in whatever investment vehicle you have. It may be a little more difficult because now jobs are set up that way and you've got to go through different like Robinhood and all of that. But you got to save because right now, if you're 50 years old, you don't have any money for retirement, you all messed up in the game.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's
And
the
a lot
problem.
of people are not. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jamal.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I think that's the problem now. That's why I said going back to the beginning, 20 to 15% of people only own one stock, one or two that are in this that are participating in the stock market, to rephrase that question. But that's what's going on. A lot of us aren't playing the game, and that's the problem. You got 80% of people playing, you got 80% of the people not playing the game. There's only 20% playing the game. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? So that means we're far behind. And now with this whole AI coming into play too, it's going to get really tricky. That's a whole nother thing. Everybody keeps telling me, listen, you got to start learning AI. You got to start learning AI. And I'm just like, I
Yeah.
find it really funny that, every time I turn around, we got to learn this, we got to learn that. And it's just like, well, look what the type of system you live in. You understand what I'm saying? It's constantly changing. It's constantly going. A lot of the jobs now, if you ride past the Easy Pass or the bridges, there's nobody working there no more.
Right.
It's all automatic. You understand what I'm saying? AI is just going to replace just about over what they said, over 50 million jobs, some crazy number. I don't know
Right.
what the number is, but it's just going to be that. And, and it's unfortunate that, all these people that are getting fired up in the public sector, up in the government and things like that. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to come down. They're all going to get the jobs that, the people that are in the regular public sector, like the hospitals and things like that. They're going to take some of those people's places because you're not going to, where else they're going to work? You understand what I'm saying?
Right. True.
Tricky situation
True.
right now that we're in.
It's definitely. I agree with you. It's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot to
Right.
lot.
take in.
And that's why
It's
I said we got to come
basically
together.
right. Yeah,
Right.
it's basically a lot because and I would say you got a good 5 year tops, and that's
Everybody's
pushing it.
saying that.
That's
Yep.
pushing it because we were in the first stage of AI. We're now in the second stage, which is basically AI and implementation, and its third phase is AI and robotics.
Right. And they already
So
have that already.
they already have that. So they're moving. The AI is moving a little quicker than what we thought it would be. So
Mm.
I say 5 year tops. That's why it could be less than that. I'm just being just generous. But that's why they say this AI thing is moving because you got to think the computer is feeding the computer now.
Right.
Right.
It's a learning program.
Yeah.
The AI is that it's what it says, artificial intelligence. It's programmed to self-learn, to
Even there
improve.
was right, and even there was a story. I think I was listening to it on the Breakfast Club this morning. Jess Hilarious. She said one of her male friends, I guess he was using Chat GPT to help with his relationship, like asking it questions because he didn't know how to communicate with her. You understand? It's create. Listen to me. This is what I'm
I'm
trying to
gonna
say.
write this down. What? I'm gonna ask
Right. He was
ChatGPT
using,
right now.
yeah. Nah, I'm telling you, and ChatGPT
No,
was
I'm saying it. I'm just saying,
right, was giving him advice
question.
on how to handle conflict resolutions. And
It
I'm just like,
does.
yo, like I said, it's crazy. And I'm just like, yo, whatever works is because he didn't, like I said, it saved his relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
every time there was an issue, he asked Chat GPT. And I'm not gonna laugh and things like that. Cause I ask Chat GPT for certain things. If I don't understand something, I'll ask it, but then after that, but I do a lot of reading. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore I
Right.
know how to navigate it a little bit better. But to like let it, if I got to use it for everything, then it's just like, come on now. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a tool.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be like your assistant. Like, you know what I mean? That's what it's really supposed to do. You know what I mean? But people are becoming reliant on it. And New York messed up by banning Chat GPT. New York City banned Chat GPT because I guess the kids were using it as cheating. Well, again,
Another state just did it too.
right. But you understand China hasn't done that though. They want their kids to learn AI. You understand what I'm saying? They want them to know. They're teaching them how to navigate it. They're not teaching them just to get the answer. And even if they get the answer, they're also showing them how to listen. This is how you're going to use the AI. We're not going to use because
That's why there's
and that's why they're ahead. This is what
right.
I'm telling people. I said New York was stupid to do that. I said, yeah, of course they're going to use it to get the answer and whatnot. But think about it. How many of us are using these high equation math things in our daily life today? Are you using anybody on here
No,
really using
Nope.
these X,
no.
Y, and plus?
Calculus.
Are you using it today? You're not.
Right.
That's what I'm trying
Chemistry.
to say. And how many of us are like? Are you writing an essay at your job? Unless you, I think you're a lawyer, so you probably have to write. But how many of us are writing 10, 12-page essays?
Nobody. We used to.
Right, we
We
used to.
used to.
And I'm like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? We know how. Like I said, we know how to. I mean, like I said, I wrote plenty of pages. But it's just like, there's ways of using the AI. And like I said before, the problem is America is short-sighted. They don't want to they don't want to go into the future. They don't. They want us stuck in the damn Stone Age. And this is where it is. This is where we're gonna get left behind on a goddamn island.
The easy way out.
Right. And so
America's also lazy.
right.
Very.
You know.
Monica, you had your hand up. Dr. Cash, you had something to say? Do you wanted to
So
say
I
something?
just I was checking what you were saying, Jamal.
Mhm.
So according to an article in 2024, China has blocked ChatGPT, and it's primarily due to concerns of misinformation and more to control the narrative. But what they use is it's similar to
Deep
it's
Sea.
China's AI. They use something called DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, yes, I'm sorry. Well, right,
And
but
it's
that's
stronger, and they said it's a stronger Chat GPT free
yes,
alternative.
right. That they blocked it just to counteract America. That's why they only did that just to counteract America. They're doing that because of what you know what I'm saying, because of the little war they got going on. That's the
Right.
whole computer war and whatnot. But the DeepSeek, yes, DeepSeek is theirs. I'm sorry, but that's what they use. They use that's their AI. The DeepSeek, yes, DeepSeek
Right.
is really that's a good one, and DeepSeek is really good. Like I said, and it's faster. I'm just being
I'm gonna
honest.
look it up. I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna
no.
look it up
You can
because I
download
think it's
DeepSeek.
important.
DeepSeek is downloadable.
Yeah, when I got into the AI platform, I started with ChatGPT, and then when I saw China came online with the DeepSeek, I did
Yes.
the DeepSeek, and it was basically it's more in depth. You do
Right.
deep research on things. ChatGPT will just give you something in an instance. DeepSeek does more research,
Yes.
and then they came out with Manus, and so these things they're upgrading ChatGPT because of things like DeepSeek and other things that have come out.
Yeah.
But basically, the Chat GPT is American. They
Yes.
consider
Right.
that American. DeepSeek is China. So
Yes.
this back and forth game that they're playing
Right. It's a
is
back and
basically to
right.
see who can put together the better AI tool. And that's
Right.
why they're blocked, like you said, they're blocking certain things because they want you to use their,
Right.
stuff. You use your stuff, America. We use our stuff.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Lisa, yeah, you wanted to say something. Also, before you say, Lisa, Cass, we fail because we don't share our knowledge. And also, oh yeah, you wrote a 147-page dissertation, right? Am I saying it right?
You are. I think, and I'm listening, and I came in when you all were talking about relationships, but I think, again, we become our own worst enemies. We continue to sit on Zooms. We have all these great conversations, and it's left there. What happened to the times where we would get together? And I was just right. We used to have meeting rooms, real conversations, coming up with strategic plans, not as individuals, but as a collective voice. When we look at most other communities and the ethnicities, they have strategies within their communities. We fail because we continue to do the same thing. We share what we choose to share, which is called the gatekeeper mentality.
Mhm.
And then we don't collectively come together. If you look at the churches, if you look at fraternities, sororities, and I can speak because I'm a part of both, um, there's no unified voice uplifting our own people. And for the ones that are unchurched, who have the knowledge, we lose out on those opportunities because we ignore or don't see the gifts that they present to be able to be helpful. So I just think I get tired of sitting in meetings with people just running their mouths. I would like to see a collective effort being done. And your platform is very good. It's not ghetto, it's not trash. So I
Thank
commend
you.
you for what it is you're doing.
Thank
But
you.
now it needs to come to another level
Mhm.
and do something, guys. I mean,
Right.
Deacon Frazier has all of this knowledge, has had it for multiple years. What else are we doing?
So okay,
And I'm
What?
not putting you, wait, I'm
Okay.
not finished. I'm not putting you, Deke, on the blast, but I'm just saying, like, where do we start moving this? We know what's coming. We know what's coming.
Right.
But then what?
But you know what's going on also? I understand what you're saying, and we need to be more collectively visual. But a lot of people these days, I don't know if it's well, it's half of the thing I think since COVID, people don't want to be around people. It's put a weird mood before COVID. I think we will get together more. We would come together more, collectively. That's one thing. But the second thing is, a lot of people don't want to be around certain people, and
right.
that's a shame because there's people that I will go to or you will go to. You go to places and people will duck and dodge or do whatever they want to do
Yeah.
just to avoid it, just to come and give distractions rather than come to learn. So you rather step out your house, come to a place where we're supposed to be learning just to be a distraction or just to side swipe or talk. It's the stuff that goes on in open forums and collectives supposed to be coming together and trying to put forth an effort to go forward. You'd be surprised of all the little back in the back of the thing stuff that goes on. That's all I'm gonna say.
So I
So
like to say a community afraid of itself cannot stand. I have said that for over 20 years to this very same community. We get new people on the scene and they become the experts of stuff we've said 20 years ago.
Mhm.
So again, a community afraid of itself can't stand. If you have to build a base and that base is only two people, the Bible tells us we're one or two.
Mhm.
So I don't get the excuses. I don't get
Mhm.
the excuses that we continue to talk about
Mhm.
and we're still at the same place.
Right.
so
You see, you was gonna say something, and I'm sorry, Jamal.
no, it's
Guys,
okay.
I forgot. Jamal is definitely my co-host. Go ahead.
So only thing I was going to say to that, I get what you're saying. You're 100% right. We definitely do have to start moving the needle a lot faster and a lot more. I think the issue we're having is we don't have any sacred spaces when it comes to overhead. You understand what I'm saying? In
Mm,
Spring Valley, you understand? I don't know in Spring Valley, Nyack, where can we go? Can we all meet up and talk certain things? And what type of resources do we have in order to do that. You understand what I'm saying? And I get it, Cassandra. You said you can create your own, but again, how many of us own buildings? And this is not a knock on anybody. You understand what I'm saying? Like
You
the
know,
Jews,
we don't own, but we rent. So
right?
we
But
got.
this
I
is what
have
I'm
businesses. You know, you have
right.
places. It don't have to
Right.
be something that you own. It could be something that you're renting.
Well,
Or
there we
you
go.
can have
Okay.
access to a community center in your building. It could be done there.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not
And I agree with
impossible
that.
to find a place to meet because I do lots of in-person forums. I do lots of in-person trainings, and me finding a place to meet has not been an issue.
Okay. Well, then that
Because
issue
you,
is solved.
because you know what? I honestly, I feel like, we all have our own niche and we have a wealth of knowledge in that own sector. I honestly think, like Frazier, like my thing is I want to work on my credit. I want to get my credit up. And I also want to learn how to invest because Jamal has had numerous conversations with me about investing. You send me the videos and we listen to the other podcasts that talk about financial freedom. And we sat down and this is one of the things that we wanted to talk about inside of a relationship, a marriage, and money, you know, and money is the biggest thing. And it's like,
Number one.
well, it's the number one. Well, God is first, but
Yeah, that not God is first, but money
but
is right there.
money,
Remember that song? Ain't no
right,
romance without.
Man.
right, and it's crazy, but we really have to really talk about these things, and we also have to put action to it. And it's also is stating that when it comes to Black people, the lower income Black people want to open businesses. They want to get financial freedom. The people who are Black who have money, they want to learn how to keep the money that they have and make their money grow. We want to build money and get businesses so we can get money. And it's like everybody teach each other, teach what we have to, where we got to go so we all can be on at least the same playing field. We're all not on the same playing field at this moment. Everybody's in their own little niche on this level, that level. I want us to all be, I know it's not an impossible thing to do, but we definitely have to stick together, and we don't stick together. That is the issue. If we stick together and like you said, go to Monica has offered her home. I'm reading community center. Latanya has a office with a conference
I have a daycare.
table, right? And you, Fraser, I think you said you had something,
I have a
right?
daycare.
A daycare, right? Like even that's a big thing in the community. You have a
Right.
daycare. You should be like, I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying like people who have things like to offer these things to the community so that we can free up our time so that we can put our words to action. How
Correct.
many parents out here are looking for daycare and daycare is so expensive and they don't know who has a daycare? How many people out here who looking for legal services and they don't know that Latanya is a lawyer? How many people out here looking for Dr. Cass and she does a plethora of things? You understand? Lisa, you have your ministry and you can uplift people and teach them the way. Monica, you're great with talking to the community. Jamal, you're great with a wealth of knowledge. Me, I'm the digital person along with Frazier, who does digital as well. We all have these things and we just really need to come up with something. Because Frazier, I'm ready to come to you with the financial thing because my goal is a house. And I don't want to just get a house and get into more debt. I want to get a house and be stable enough to keep up. Because some people get a house and they struggle
Correct. That's a
because they
whole
make the wrong
conversation.
decision. They
Right.
sign where everybody says sign here with your little yellow tape, sign here, 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 here. And you're initialing and you're signing everything. And now when you get this bill or this tax on top of the tax that's taxed, now you're like, oh, what's going on? Now it's like you got to have 17 jobs just to maintain the house or your house goes into foreclosure. Like there's no education when it comes to that either.
Nope.
So you can get a house, you can get a first time buyer's house, and then you might not get another house ever again because you never read it and you never understood it and nobody ever explained it to you. All they did was say sign here, initial here, have a nice day.
And this is why I tell a lot of men too. I said, even with a lot of guys, I get a lot of guys that call me, a few of my friends that own homes, and they call me for like plumbing issues or HVAC issues and things like that. I'm not heavy on HVAC, but any plumbing issue or anything else in the house, I could pretty much figure it out. You as men,
Right.
gotta be able to fix your own stuff, because otherwise you're gonna call outside sources in, and all your money's gonna fly out the house. I had
Right.
one friend, he had to replace his whole boiler system. And I'm not telling you, if you can't listen, I don't really know how to do my whole boiler system or things like that. However, I have an idea, or a water heater. Like, I know how to replace a water heater, but it cost him over $4,000. He had to call somebody from the outside. That guy charged him $6,000. There ain't nobody like the labor. You understand? He charged him over $1,500 for labor. You understand what I'm saying? And I said, he ripped them off. And I said, yo, he got you. But again, it's resources. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like the other communities, they got that. They trade and barter. Like the electrician will trade with the plumber. Yo, come do my plumbing. I'll do your
Right.
I'll do your your electrical work. No money's coming out of neither one of their pocket because they bartered off of each other. That's what I said. I tell a lot of
Absolutely.
men that. I'd say, yo, listen, you gotta at least learn. I know you're not good with your hands, but you at least know how to fix a damn a sink or a leak or something in the toilet, that like the level or something. At least know how to do that. You understand what I'm saying? Because you
Right.
can, a lot of money's gonna fly out the house if you don't know how to repair it.
Or
Absolutely.
at least know how things work. Because
Right.
if you at
Exactly.
least know how things work, and then the plumber comes to try to rip you off, you could be like, "Wait a minute,
Bingo.
that don't even
Right.
sound like something."
Right.
Right.
Right. You
I'm
need
telling you, a lot of these guys are
sector.
walking up in these houses. They walked up in my other homegirl's house. They tried to rip her off, and I'm just like, no, that's not. That he's lying. That's just not. You know what I'm saying? I'll call my other guy that knows more than me, and I'll get you the verification on that. And he told her, yeah, he was just trying to get money out of you. See what I'm saying? That's a whole nother thing. I feel bad for the women that do live in houses and they don't have, you know what I'm saying? Because they gotta call somebody. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, damn, you know, they
Well,
walk in,
not
they
me.
get paid. Well,
Not me. My
not you.
daddy taught me.
Oh, there
So
you go. You're
I'll
lucky.
YouTube something in a second.
Right. Oh, there you go. You're lucky. You're one of the lucky ones.
Right. I don't mind putting something together, like, but everybody's not as fortunate as I am, and they don't
Right.
have that. You understand? And I understand what you're saying. This is such a great topic. Tanya, before you go, Frazier, what? Okay, so let's take a small step. One step is a small step. Frazier, I challenge you, put something together.
Mhm.
I will definitely show up. I will advertise it. I will show up, because me, myself, I'm talking about me. Everybody else is I'm not talking about everybody on the panel, but anybody else want to say, oh, I want to join and don't want to join, that's your problem. This is my issue. This is what I want to do. If you could teach me, if somebody asks me, I know I can teach somebody else, if they ask the question. Like, I definitely want to do that, because there's things that I don't know, and I'm going, Dick, you could show me something that could be simple, and I'm going through all 50 steps, and all I got to do is take 2 steps. You
Right.
understand? And
Right.
sometimes they make it harder for us to discourage us from doing it. It's just like, I was filling out an application, and people say, oh, well, the application is long because they want to see who wants the job.
Who
Me,
will stay to the end?
who will stay to the end. But guess what? That's not it. People get bored. If you're filling out an application, you keep going and you're going, and the application is like 30 years long, I lost interest in the job. Now I don't want the job anymore. But if I want the job, don't take me through the mill just to get the job. And then now I'm working on the job, and now you don't want me at the job. I went through all of that because you feel I'm not a good fit. Let's have the conversation. You don't always have to take the long route, but let's work smarter instead of harder. And I think that's what's going on in this world. They want us to work so hard and get
Right.
nothing,
Yep. Exactly.
instead of teaching us how to work smart so we can have everything. Tanya, I'm gonna let you go, and then, guys, this is such a good conversation. I would hate to end it, but we're gonna end it. I'm gonna keep us to an hour. Like I said, I'm gonna keep us to an hour. Cass, you and I, we got our thing that we're doing together. We had this conversation. That's why, Dr. Cass, you said it. We had this conversation. And Lisa, we had this conversation about your podcast. conversation with Lisa J. Am I saying it right again?
Let's talk about it with Lisa J.
Let's talk about, my mind is gone, guys.
Listen, we're working.
I'm tired.
I put my plug in.
Right, exactly. So everybody, you have Tanya, who's an excellent lawyer. I don't understand why, people, we need to reach out to these people. Jamal, you just said you do plumbing. Everybody. And there's a lot of nosy people on my page. Okay, they might not come on right now, but I see the numbers. Okay, I see you guys watching. I just want you to know that I could call out names, but I won't do that. Who watches faithfully? Okay, but they won't say nothing. Get what I'm saying? So we all are watching. Let's not just watch. I don't have to say. You can hit somebody else in the inbox. Hey, I like Taika's show. Frazier said something. Let's find out. Frazier. I don't care as long as we're helping each other out, guys. It's not embarrassing to ask for help. It's not embarrassing to say I want to learn something. You look ignorant by saying I don't want to do it, knowing that you need the help. You understand? Right. What did you say to me, Dr. Cass? A closed mouth doesn't get fed. You got to ask for what you want, right? We have these conversations all the time. So, guys, with that being said, Tanya, you want to say, you had your hand up, so go ahead and say.
Yeah, I just want to say we're getting ready to do what we always do. We've had this wealth of conversation and we've accomplished absolutely nothing. Let's schedule something before we end. Frazier's available. Somebody pick a place, pick a date, and let's do it.
Frazier said he's going to put a plan together. He said, no way. He said he's going to put
wait a minute. We had that conversation 3 to 6 months ago.
Well, guess what?
Hold on.
This is a new show.
I'm not arguing with you. Just let me finish.
It's a new show. Hold on. It's a new show. Frazier said he's going to put a plan together and he's going to let us know. We can't come up with a date. He doesn't have a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to put something together. You have to put together a proposal and then you give us a date. Give him a chance to do that, and then we can say that. And then if we fail, then you could come on us and say, Taika, we had this plan and we did nothing.
I'm not sure what the plan is. He's going to teach us what we don't know. Why does he need to plan for that? We need a location and invite him to come.
Okay, but I'm going to put together the plan of the 14-day step of how to invest, how to start to get into investing. So once you do that, it's like a prerequisite, basically, to help you get the little bit out of the way. So when I meet with you and do in person, you went through the pre stuff to get that out the way. Now we can get straight into investing.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm putting together. Hopefully, give me 2 days. At least by Monday, I should have something together. I know everybody, like you said, you've been waiting for it. I'm going to put it together.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, Latanya, I promise.
Listen, I hear people. I hear people talk all the time, and everyone here has been a part of other platforms where we talked about even creating a directory, so everyone on here knows what everyone else does, and we accomplished.
I'm not going to get into that one.
This is not.
I don't want to talk. I want to do. I'm a doer. I don't want to talk. Talk is garbage. I talk all day. That's what I'm paid to do. Let's do something so that we can create a condition that's better for us as individuals and our community. We talked more about relationships and building with other people than we ever did about ourselves on this line tonight. Let's get it together. That's all I'm asking.
This podcast, we're going to talk. This is how I get my stuff out there. I got to talk about something. I got to have stuff to talk about. I got to have things to talk about. We got to have topics to talk about. This is my thing. I got to do the LHK conversation. So the LHK conversation got to talk about stuff. I got to talk about.
Listen, I love LHK conversations. Because you have conversations. This is a great platform. I'm just simply adding to. I remember the first 1 or 2 shows we did. You had something to do at the end. I think we should always have something to do. Like tonight, we have Frazier in 2 days going to give us an outline so that we can schedule an appointment and get together. And
I think that even though we haven't come up with a concrete plan yet as to what we're going to do, and I do think that you've brought out a lot of topics. The relationship topic is something that, people could take it or they could leave it. But as far as the AI, the GPT, and the, seeking or whatever the other AI is, I think at least you introduce enough topics where if a person really wants to know, they should do their due diligence to follow up. You can't spoon feed a whole community. They have to, the topics are out here. That you know what, if you want to know more about it, you can find out more about it. There are books, there are Google, there are professionals. So I think you're introducing the topics. I hope we do follow up, that even if you don't follow up, people are grown. They should do their own due diligence.
And that's what makes this platform different from most. It's not so much about putting the ownership back on a bunch of people who struggle already with internalized racial oppression, but it's having a platform to be able to say we are doing something different and our mindset is changed.
Absolutely.
So again, there's accountability, and being dismissive about do it on your own really defeats the purpose of her vision in general. Because as she said, her vision is to bring a collective voice together toward change, not just in conversation, but in action. Right. That's why I come on this show.
Thank you guys for all your support. Thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you guys have your own special thing that you offer when you come on the show, and I greatly appreciate it. I really do. And the intellectual conversation, I enjoy that. Jamal, before we end, you had a book up that you were going to say you're going to read.
Yes, I do. I have two books I wanted to show you.
Okay.
So first book is You Deserve to Be Rich by Troy Mullings and Rashard Bile from Earn Your Leisure. I would recommend it in your library because
when you get off the live, put it on the put it in the comments.
Okay.
The book.
Then I have another one. This is called The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health by Dr. Rita Walker. This was another good read.
Okay.
It broke down a lot of good stuff, especially when it comes to relationships and mental health for Black and Caribbean people.
Okay, good. I want to read that book. So next week, we're going to have a different topic. Jamal and I are really putting our minds together. We are working on making this show a better show. Guys, we did go over 13 minutes. I'm not going to say nothing because it was really good. I'm going to tell you that. I appreciate everybody's insight. Frazier, Lisa, Tanya, Cass, Jamal, who else is on? Oh, and Monica was on. I appreciate you guys. For our listeners and viewers, thank you guys for watching. Listen to everything that everybody had to say. Definitely listen. And then Frazier, you got 2 days. 2 days. By next Thursday, I want to be in your class because I need to get my coins up.
They gonna force a diamond out of a rock, out of a piece of coal in here, boy.
Okay,
you got the two Edwards, the two sisters on here. They gonna force, and all these sisters, they gonna force a coal out of make a diamond out of a coal in here, boy.
That's all right. All right, this has been the LHK conversation, guys. Oh, wait, one more thing before I end. So Facebook has a new thing where when we do the videos, after 30 days, they take them down. So anybody that wants to refer to the video, please give me time because it's really difficult sometimes to get these videos to get them smaller and then put them. I'm going to put it on my YouTube page. I will update you guys on the weekend with the YouTube page, so you can go in there and watch the full episode or listen to the full episode. All right, thank you guys for listening to the LHK conversation. We are out of here. Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you all.